Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to another live Manchester United news and transfer news update show. We've actually got quite a lot to talk about despite the lack of football going on at the moment. There's quite a lot of noise and I think we've got the indication over the last couple of weeks that Manchester United could be having a really busy January transfer window. There could be a potential amount of outs, lots of players that could be leaving. Obviously, you've got a new manager and they want to get rid of the deadwood, but also new players we could likely be signing due to the players that are leaving. We've got the funds to potentially sign a player. And, we've got a couple of stories that I will be discussing. The first story will be about Manchester United close to getting a CDM. We're looking to sign a CDM. This has come from some really reliable sources. We're talking about Haidara, Kamara, Frank Kessie, the news about that. We've also been linked to Milinkovic Savic. I will give you all the latest news, the sources come from, how reliable the sources and how likely I believe it is. Talk about Woodward staying, but there's being a new CEO to replace Woodward. Apparently that's going to be announced. The Premier League will, as it stands, is not going to go into lockdown or any of that. The Premier League matches will go ahead on Boxing Day as it stands. So lots and lots to talk about. So first of all, please do smash a like on the video and please do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new to the channel. If you want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news, please do subscribe and all of that. But let's get the video up. Let's get the news up. What are we talking about? Got early comment here that says Ed Woodward has to leave, and 100,000,000% Ed Woodward has to leave Manchester United. But this is the thing, and I want to get into the transfer news, but let me just quickly talk about this. We all got excited that Woodward was leaving. We thought, boom, yes, Woodward was leaving. We all celebrated Ed Woodward leaving Manchester United. We all thought, this is brilliant. And then he didn't leave in the summer. Then he didn't leave when he was meant to leave, and then he's going to stay to the end of the year, and he's like not leaving now. And all of a sudden, it's like, we're going to give Richard Arnold Ed Woodward's role, but Ed Woodward's going to stay at the club in another role, it seems. It almost seems like Ed Woodward isn't going to leave Manchester United despite him resigning. And I think, I hope he leaves. I hope he does leave. But I mean, it's classic Manchester United. And you know what? I'm not shocked by this. You say Ed Woodward's leaving, you sack Ed Woodward just for the PR spin, just to get the heat off maybe the Glazers for the Super League. They threw Woodward under the bus to get the heat off the Glazers for the Super League. So they said they were going to sack him, all of this. Blah, 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 going to give the job to someone else, still unsacked him, just going to give him another job in the club, and he's just not going to do the job he was doing, and we'll give the job Ed Woodward was doing to another banker in Richard Arnold. And I just think, what a load of idiots the Glazers are. They literally threw Ed Woodward under the bus so he could take the heat for the Super League and thought they'd sack him, make themselves look better, get the fans somewhat back towards them. Now, you know what? Now we've got Ronaldo, now we've got Varane, now we've got Sancho, now we've sacked Ollie. You know what? We're in a position where, there's not too much pressure on us. Let's, just give Woodward a consultancy role and let Richard Arnold do Woodward's role, even though Richard Arnold is basically another Woodward. The only difference between Richard Arnold and Ed Woodward is there was a report that Richard Arnold doesn't want to do the footballing responsibilities of his job and doesn't want to learn on the job, and he might hand over the footballing responsibilities of his job. But it's an absolute disgrace from the Glazers. It's an absolute embarrassment if Ed Woodward stays, but no, I would not be shocked in the slightest. The Cortex Masters asked me a question saying, do you like Ed Woodward? Do you think any Man United fan really likes Ed Woodward? No. I mean, I'm sure his kids like him. I'm sure his family like him. But he's not that good at his job. He's not the man for Manchester United. I do not like Ed Woodward. So, yeah. And Circle of Leaders says, yes, Woodward never got sacked. Exactly. This is my point. We celebrated Ed Woodward getting sacked for what? For what? For him to still be at the club, in 2022, even though he sacked in March, April 2021. It's an absolute disgrace. It's absolutely embarrassing and all of that. Question from Noah saying, would I take Goretzka? I'd absolutely love Goretzka at Manchester United, but it's never going to happen. But let's get into the transfer news, what has been said and all of that. There's a lot of news, a lot of articles saying that it's very, very likely that Manchester United are going to sign a CDM that's been coming out today and been coming out these last few days. Look, we know that we've been linked to the CDMs Kamara, Haidara, Kessie, and Zakaria across the last month or so. Ever since Ralf Rangnick signed for Manchester United, the CDM we've been massively linked to is Haidara from RB Leipzig. Now, the interesting thing about this Haidara story is it's consistent. It's been a story that didn't pop up a few weeks ago and stop. It's been a consistent story. The other interesting thing is Haidara actually addressed the rumours and said he's a fan of Manchester United and named all the Manchester United players he loved. And he never specifically said, I'd never go to Manchester United. He never ruled out the rumours. He just said, oh, I'm happy playing RB Leipzig, but I'm a big fan of Manchester United, which was a bit like, oh, so basically he wants to come. He has a £30 million release clause, which is a decent fee to buy a CDM. You know, when a CDM like Declan Rice is going to be £100 million. Why not spend 30 million on Haidara? He's 23, he's an up-and-coming European player. He knows Ralf Rangnick's style of football. He can play under Ralf Rangnick. And, you know, when we've got the lack of depth in the CDM role, when we're in a top 4 fight with Spurs looking good, with Arsenal looking good, with West Ham being a threat, I think it's really, really important that we do try and sign a CDM. And I really hope that we do go out and look for one. But you just don't know with Manchester United. But some reliable sources have spoken about CDMs to Manchester United and all of that. And let me discuss sort of what's come out in the news and all of that. But so the first story came out from Calcio Mercato. Now, this is an Italian source, and this isn't as reliable as the English source that I'll get into in a second. So the first story came out from Calcio Mercato, and they said Manchester United could go ahead and pay the fee for Pogba and Kamara in January to make him inaccessible for AC Milan. We've been linked to Kamara. I think he's a free agent in the summer. That was a story about us going in for Kamara. But the most interesting story, and the story that has really gripped me, and this is from reliable sources, come from the Manchester Evening News. This has come from Samuel Lutkers. They obviously get sources of information from Manchester United, from the club itself, have said that Manchester United are prepared to move for a holding midfielder in the January transfer window. United are prepared to back Ralf Rangnick in the new year. Now this could all be PR spin and all of that, but I don't think it is PR spin for the sense of we haven't played in a few weeks. The mood around Manchester United isn't negative. It's just, oh my God, we want to watch games. And it's come from Samuel Lutkers, a reliable source, and he said that Manchester United are prepared to move for a holding midfielder in January transfer window. United are prepared to back Ralf Rangnick. So he's confirmed we want to go for a midfielder. We want to back Ralf Rangnick. And, you know, a lot of sources are saying it's very, very likely that Manchester United are going to sign a CDM. And what the Manchester Evening News said and what Samuel Lutkers said, which has really caught a lot of people's attention, was Haidara has become an interest of Manchester United due to Rangnick's 8-year stint at the Red Bull Group. Haidara is obviously the name that we've been linked to a lot lately. Now Samuel Lutkers and his English sources that get sources of information from the club are talking about United going in for Haidara. And the thing I like about these Haidara rumours is it's a realistic signing, guys. You know, I think, you know, you get linked to players and you know it's not realistic. You know, you get linked to Haaland, you go, can we pull that off? We get linked to, you know, when you get linked to big players and big names like Declan Rice, it's not always realistic. It's like, I'm sure United like Declan Rice, but Declan Rice isn't realistic because he wants Chelsea's £100 million. We know it's not going to happen in January. With Haidara, we know it's realistic. And the thing about constantly being linked to a realistic player by decent sources, it gives you hope that, oh, you know what, something could happen here. And you don't just write off the story like that. You know, we got linked to Milinkovic-Savic today. I think that's a load of BS. You know, we've been linked to De Jong. I don't think that's possible in January. We get linked to Haaland. I think that's not possible till summer. I don't know if we'll get Haaland. But when you get linked to a player like Haidara and you're constantly getting linked to him for a month, and he's talking about the rumours and saying he likes Man United, and he's got that relationship with Ralf Rangnick, and he's available for £30 million release clause, 23, young up-and-coming CDM in a position we need. There is that, oh, you know what? I do believe we could sign a CDM. And, you know, very reliable sources, Samuel Lutkers, has confirmed Manchester United want to back Rangnick, want to bring in a CDM, and Haidara is a player of interest. And that's confirmed by a reliable source, which I think, for me, is the most important bit of information that we sort of picked out today. And another interesting thing said by Samuel Lutkers is that we do like Haidara, and we've been linked to him by a lot of sources. Guys, please smash a like on the video if you have not already, and of course subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. I will get through a few live chats in just a second, so let me know your thoughts down below. What kind of CDM would you like to bring to Manchester United? Because we've been linked to Kamara, we've most heavily been linked to Haidara, which seems the most likely. Frankie de Jong, there's a lot of players we're linked to. Let me know who you would like. But Mark Kleiman of Sky has confirmed that Ed Woodward will remain at Manchester United as a consultant next year. I know, what a load of rubbish. You know, smash your like if you want Ed Woodward gone. Smash your like if you're fuming that Ed Woodward's going to remain at Manchester United next year. Smash your like if that's a disgrace as well. But one other thing I want to talk about that came from Samuel Lutkers is Manchester United do expect Paul Pogba and Edinson Cavani. Do not expect. Manchester United do not expect Paul Pogba and Edinson Cavani to push for moves in January. Martial wants to leave, but a permanent deal is unlikely. So Samuel Lucas has not only confirmed that we're going for a CDM, we want to back Rangnick, we're interested in Haidara. He said, actually, you know what? We doubt Paul Pogba and Cavani will be looking to leave in January. So all this talk about Edinson Cavani leaving Manchester United in January, guys, potentially not going to happen, which I think is good, because I think if Martial's leaving, you don't want to lose Cavani. And I know Cavani's not really played much, and we played most of our season without Cavani and Martial. But, you know, when you're playing a formation with two strikers now, and I think Ralf Rangnick's formation suits Cavani more, and you're going to probably lose Martial, you don't want to lose Cavani as well. Niall Kane says, Alice, hearing rumours that Manchester United are linked with Chelsea target Jules Koundé, would you take him? This was a rumour that came out the last couple of days about United being linked to Jules Koundé. We have been linked to Rudiger, Jules Koundé, a few centre-backs. I would take him at the club 100%, but I don't think there's an overriding need for a centre-back at Manchester United. And I think if we do get a centre-back, we'll be getting a centre-back come summer. I don't think we'll be getting a centre-back in January transfer window. It was all about CDM. But I would take him if I felt like we needed a centre-back come January. And if Maguire can find form, we've got Varane, and Varane can stay fit, I don't think there's an overriding need for him, but 100% would take him. Would you take Gerard Moreno from Villarreal to replace Cavani? I mean, he'd probably be a better replacement in a weird sense, but no, I personally wouldn't. Ed out, as Nicola says, exactly. And one other comment from Niall Kane says, Alice, what are your thoughts on Anthony Martial being linked to a loan move in January in Newcastle? Now, I do want to address this as well, actually, but I've got so much to talk about, guys, so stay tuned, smash a like. Anthony Martial. I love Anthony Martial. I'm a United fan that rates Anthony Martial. I'm not one of those deluded Manchester United fans that puts Anthony Martial and Paul Pogba above the whole club. They're just silly idiots. But look, I rate Martial. I'm a big Martial fan. I think he's an absolute baller. And he hasn't been good for Manchester United for a good year, but we know he's a good player. And the thing that frustrates me about Martial is it's like he's made his mind up, he's leaving. You know, Donny really wanted to leave, and he's gone, new manager, I'm going to prove myself. This is my chance. Lingard's even thinking about, should I try to prove myself? This is a new manager. But Martial, you know, it just doesn't even want to prove himself. And the thing about the new manager coming in, and the thing about Ralf Rangnick, is Ralf Rangnick's system plays two strikers. So that it's easier for Martial to get in the team under Ralf Rangnick because he plays two strikers, and Rashford hasn't been brilliant. And, you know, there's Greenwood, there's Cavani to compete with, and Cavani's never fit. Like, you know, Martial was going to get opportunities under Ralf Rangnick. He was 100% going to get opportunities under Ralf Rangnick, but he's made up his mind. He doesn't want to stay. And the thing that frustrates me about Martial is I just wish he would want to stay and prove himself under Rangnick and prove that he's a good player, because we know Martial is a good player. Whether you're Martial FC, whether you're Martial out, I know that Martial is a very, very good player. He's had two very good seasons for Manchester United, but he has had some underwhelming seasons. But I think he's a good player. I think he can play as a striker. And I think I'm actually upset that Martial is desperate to leave, because I think he, like Donny van de Beek, because Donny van de Beek's like, you know what, I'm going to prove myself, I'm going to stay. Martial could have done that because he's so talented, Martial, and we've seen that time and time again. But he's made his mind up, and you know, I get that he wants to play regular football. If he stays, he's not promised regular football, and maybe he wants to be involved for the World Cup. But I feel the frustration of losing Martial. But if losing Martial gives us the funds to get the CDM we want in January, then I'm for losing Martial. If losing Martial, I know definitely going to get Haidara, I'm okay with losing Martial. But personally, I do like Martial and I don't want to lose him, especially on loan. I think if you're losing a player on loan, you're not getting any money for them, and then you could be using them. And I think letting Jesse Lingard go on loan was all right, because we were never going to lose Jesse Lingard. But I do believe that Ralf Rangnick will look to use Martial, in my honest opinion. So I'm upset, but Martial's very much made his mind up that he wants to leave Manchester United. And that is the case, and Martial will leave. And look, if Martial does leave, hopefully the funds that we get for him, if we do get funds, and I think he will be difficult to sell because of his wages, because we want 30 million for him, hopefully that is invested in the CDM. Raheem says, Tuchemini, Kamara, destroy CDM, who will press and good on the ball. I tell you what, guys, and now the Tuchemini to Manchester United news has got very, very quiet. But I would love Tuchemini to come to Manchester United. We could bring any CDM to Manchester United in the summer. I would actually choose Tuchemini over Rice. And one of the reasons I choose Tuchemini over Rice is because I think Tuchemini is probably just as good as Declan Rice, and he will be significantly cheaper. Tuchemini would be my first choice CDM come summer. Maybe we'll get him in summer. We'll have to wait and see if we don't get a CDM in January. I think that opens up our options to get Tuchemini. But Kamara could happen in January. Calcio and Mercado have said that we're interested in Kamara. He's obviously a free agent. We're obviously competing with AC Milan for him. I think we've got more pull than AC Milan. We've got bloody Ronaldo at our club. We're in the Premier League. AC Milan already knocked out the Champions League. So Kamara's really, really likely as well, actually. And I think if we cannot get Haidara, we could go for Kamara. And a good question from Daniel says, Alison, what are your thoughts on Haidara? So Haidara is the CDM that Manchester United have been linked with, unless you've been living under a rock. He's a 23-year-old CDM. We're going to also play as a box-to-box for RB Leipzig. He's a player that Ralf Rangnick knows very well. He's a player that's got a decent release clause, and he's a player that's been pretty decent for RB Leipzig over the last few years. Played some pretty regular football for them, and we know RB Leipzig is it's a decent side. He's played 18 matches this season as a CM, a DM, and he can also play on right mid, left mid. He's a very flexible player. And I would absolutely take Haidara at Manchester United. I don't know a lot about him. I know we're interested in him. We know from Samuel Lucas that United are likely to get a CDM to back Rangnick, and Haidara is the CDM of interest. But I just see what I think the type of player Man United need. I think, if you look at Liverpool, if you look at Manchester City, and you look at the type of players that they've been buying over the years, they've not been going and spending 100 million on your Declan Rice. Liverpool never spent 100 million on a player. Manchester City have only done that this season with Grealish. In the past, Liverpool and Manchester City, who are the two best teams in the Premier League, who are a level ahead of Manchester United, have not gone out and spent hundreds of million pounds on CDMs like Declan Rice, what we've done on Maguire. Liverpool have been quite good with our business, and City have done a lot of £50 million deals. I look at this and I go, this is probably the type of thing Liverpool or City would do. Instead of spending 100 million on Declan Rice, they go, you know what, we can get this 23-year-old up-and-coming Bundesliga player that's worked with our manager before for £30 million and bring in January. And I think that's good business. I think that's something that Liverpool would do. I think that's something that City would do. Although I don't know a lot about the player. He can play as a box-to-box. He can play as a DM. Whether he's good or not, United still need a CDM. As well, McTominay and Fred cannot play week in, week out. It's clear that Matic just isn't rated. Even if Haidara is not amazing, at least you've got that depth in that CDM role to rotate McTominay and Fred if McTominay and Fred have proven themselves to be our best options. But 23 can only get better. Manager likes him. Managers work with him. Available in January. I think we need a CDM because that top four race is going to be hard. You look at Spurs under Conte, played really well versus Liverpool yesterday. You look at Arsenal playing really well at the moment. You look at West Ham playing really well at the moment. And I go, well, Manchester United desperately need a CDM because all our rivals are playing pretty well at the moment. And I think, for us to get top four, maybe you do need to go out there and get a CDM. Milinkovic-Savic is rumoured to be a United January target. This has come from Sport Witness. I will talk about this story, but I'm not going to give the story much attention, guys, because I think absolute bullshit. Haidara's story, I'll give you a lot of attention. Kamara's story, I will discuss it. Kessie Sakara, I'll discuss it. Milinkovic-Savic, I will be shocked if this happened in January. I'd be absolutely shocked if this happens in January. I think it's one of those BS stories. But Manchester United have been linked with Milinkovic-Savic. It came through Sport Witness, I believe. I think it came from another source that came through Sport Witness. And basically, what was said, and let me read it out here, is that Manchester United are lurking around Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, and apparently Savic could be available for around 75 million euros. Let's be honest, Milinkovic-Savic, it could be a Paul Pogba replacement. It could be a player we go for in the summer. I wouldn't be absolutely shocked if we went for Milinkovic-Savic in the summer. He could easily be a Paul Pogba replacement. But I just want to throw out the fact that do you guys honestly believe United are going to go and spend 75 million euros on Milinkovic-Savic? Is he really worth that much? Has he really lived up to the hype? I don't think he's been a player that no one's really discussed in the last 2 years. He's a bit like a Saul Niguez. 2 years ago, he was really, really good. You like at Man United, and his last 2 seasons been subpar. Chelsea got Saul Niguez on loan, and he's been absolutely awful. I just think it's an absolute load of crap, if you want my honest opinion. And I'm not going to give it the time of day, but maybe in the summer when Paul Pogba goes, that story will heat up. Same with the De Jong story, but I don't think there's much in it. How's asked, what about Paul Pogba? Now, Samuel Lucas said today, and I'm not sure if you guys were here when I said this earlier, that Paul Pogba will not look to leave Manchester United in January. Paul Pogba can leave Manchester United for 3 in the summer. We all know that Paul Pogba can leave Manchester United for 3 in the summer. He's not looking to leave in January. He wants to play under Ralf Rangnick and maybe make up his mind about staying or not. If he's playing good football under Ralf Rangnick, is Man United playing well and we get top 4, there's always a chance that Paul Pogba will stay at Manchester United. The fact that he's not signed a contract, the fact that in 2 weeks' time Paul Pogba can sign a pre-contract with another club makes me feel as if we are going to lose Paul Pogba, and he will go on a free. But as of now, he's not leaving in January. He'll probably leave in the summer, and potentially he might even stay. But I think if Paul Pogba leaves, that's when you discuss your Frankie de Jongs. That's when you discuss your Milinkovic-Savic. How do you guys feel about Paul Pogba leaving, by the way? Are you bothered about it? I think there's a big split in the fan base of someone saying, Paul Pogba leaving's awful, but then, has Paul Pogba contributed much? He keeps getting injured a lot. He's very inconsistent. How do you guys feel about Paul Pogba? Are you over the Paul Pogba love affair? Are you like, no, we've got to keep him at all costs? How do you guys, in the chat, let me know, how do you guys feel about Paul Pogba? Because I wouldn't want to lose Paul Pogba, but if he doesn't want to play, then I don't want to keep him. You don't want to keep a player that doesn't want to be here. It's Manchester United. I think the way Ralf Rangnick responded to the Pogba could leave Manchester United and using the Pogba could leave Manchester United rumours was really, really good of Ralf Rangnick, because he said, well, if any player doesn't want to play for Manchester United, then, that's their issue, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, and I actually got one more question for you guys in the chat. So if you are looking and watching in the live chat, please do get involved with this. But where would you rather play Paul Pogba, as a CDM in the pivot or a left attacking midfielder? Because if we look at Ralf Rangnick's 4-2-2, Paul Pogba can play in two roles. He can play deep, he can play in the McFred role where he's played for Manchester United in the past, and he's had some good games in the midfield. We've had Pogba, Matic, Bruno midfield three, but he can also play on the left as a more attacking player. And obviously we saw Pogba versus Leeds got 4 assists on the left as a more attacking player. Where would you rather see Paul Pogba if he was going to play under Ralf Rangnick? I'm actually really intrigued to see what you guys think on this as well. I think because I feel like Paul Pogba's better in the midfield. I think, Paul Pogba's best position is a box-to-box midfielder with a top CDM next to him. And I think if you have a player like Tchouaméni, you do want Paul Pogba in that pivot. But I think if you look at the team we have now and we don't get a CDM, I'm generally about playing Paul Pogba here. And I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I'm thinking, what will Ralf Rangnick do? Because I think if you get a top CDM, you can play Paul Pogba next to them. And, we could get a CDM. But actually, if you look at Paul Pogba's last couple of games for the Manchester United, he's actually been better on the left-hand side. Would you pay Paul Pogba on the left-hand side for Manchester United? And I've got a couple of stats, actually, and interesting things about Paul Pogba playing on the left that I will read out. But when Paul Pogba's last 4 Manchester United goals were against West Ham, Burnley, Fulham, and AC Milan. He played on the left when he scored his last 4 goals for Manchester United. He's been absolutely, whenever he's played on the left, he's been very, very efficient. So I do feel that maybe, as much as I've always been, Paul Pogba in the pivot, he gets more involved in the game when he's in the pivot. When you look at the team we have and what we have available, when you look at Ralf Rangnick's system, maybe Paul Pogba would be more suited to playing that left attacking midfield role, because Paul Pogba's best jobs and attributes is actually when he's on the ball and he's creating stuff. He's a good creative player, and defensively he's not the most disciplined. And under Ralf Rangnick's system, when you've got to be doing a lot of pressing, where the CDMs are going to be very defensively disciplined, very in shape, and Paul Pogba probably isn't the most defensively disciplined player off the ball. He doesn't always do that work off the ball. In the cam role, it means that when he's on the ball, he's going to have more of an effect. So potentially I'll be looking to play Paul Pogba in that cam role. And actually, guys, let me know what kind of lineup you want to see. But I love Jadon Sancho, and I wouldn't want to drop Jadon Sancho, but I think this could be really, really interesting in Ralf Rangnick's 4-2-2. Maybe something like Greenwood or maybe even Cavani. But I think, maybe you need Greenwood or Rashford for that pace. But how would you guys feel about this as a front four? I'm going to put CDM in here, and I'm going to put Donny. Okay? Because let's say we sign a CDM. How would you guys feel about this? We sign someone like Haidara, and we play him with Donny in the pivot, and then you have Paul Pogba and Bruno ahead with Cavani and Ronaldo. I think this could be a really, really good Manchester United starting 11. Will we ever see it? We'll have to wait and see, but the thought of this does excite me. And, the thought that McKenna's gone, that Phelan's not wanted, that Carrick's gone, that Ollie's gone, it means that we've got no ties to the past. And, there's no ties to the past right now at Manchester United, because all the coaches to do with Ollie are gone or no longer involved. So it's all about Ralf Rangnick, what he wants to do, what his coaches want to do, which makes me feel like we're going to see new things. The fact that Ralf Rangnick has told Donny that he's in his plans, Ralf Rangnick has told Donny van de Beek he wants him to stay. And there's rumours about Ten Hag coming in the summer, and Donny van de Beek and Frankie de Jong reunion with Ten Hag at Manchester United as well. I think that Donny's definitely going to be an important player under Ralf Rangnick. I said this before, guys. The fact that Ralf Rangnick played Donny van de Beek as a lone CDM against young boys with Mata and Lingard ahead of him was Ralf Rangnick's way of saying, I trust Donny to play in the pivot. Because Donny didn't play in the pivot with anyone. He played in the pivot alone with 2 attacking midfielders next to him with no support. Donny was literally a CDM with no support in the pivot alone for Manchester United. And he did a decent job other than a mistake. And that again says to me, you know what? Ralf Rangnick knows that Donny could play deep. He's going to give Donny chances deep. You get a CDM in. And I know Thread's been playing really well at the moment. I know that McTominay's look better. But this could be something we see under Ralf Rangnick because it feels like it could be the end of sit back, McFred, Donny 2 minutes off the bench era. It's that, you know, Rangnick's telling Donny to stay. Rangnick's telling Donny he's got big plans for him. Rangnick wants a CDM in. Pogba's back. Bruno's back. You know, Pogba might stay inside the contract. I don't think that's going to happen. And, you know, this formation doesn't use wingers. The only thing I don't like about Ralf Rangnick's 4-2-2, as I said earlier, is it doesn't use wingers. It's not the best formation for the likes of Sancho and Rashford, who are probably our 2 out-and-out wingers at Manchester United. But you can always rotate Sancho and Rashford with Pogba and Bruno. And the good thing about this formation as well is I see a lot of rotation. And this is why I'm not about losing Martial, because actually, let's have a look at this. Look at the squad depth that we have. You know, we've got rotation for every single position. We've got rotation for every single position, guys. You know, and I think Rashford will be better in this cam role than in a striker role, personally, myself. Like, you've got, if you look at this, all the front 4 have a good backup option. You know, whether it's Pogba, Cavani, Ronaldo or Bruno playing as a front 4, or Rashford, Greenwood, Martial and Sancho playing as a front 4, that's 2 very, very good front 4s. Whether you like Fred and McTominay or not, we have to admit they have looked better under Ralf Rangnick. You know, so they can be back up there. You know, Manchester United have got a pretty decent squad right now. I think we've got a pretty decent squad. And I'd like to see something like that maybe one day. And if you know, the only area where there's not much depth is the CDM spot, because you've got McTominay and Fred, and no one really knows if McTominay and Fred are going to prove to be good enough. I think they look better under Ralf Rangnick, but you know, we don't know how good McTominay and Fred are. We don't know if they've been poor because of Ollie's coaching, because of the style of football we're playing, or we don't know if they're just not good enough to play for Manchester United. But let's say Fred and McTominay are good enough to play for Manchester United. Well, then the only other rotation from McTominay and Fred is Donny, because Matic is finished. As much as I like Donny and Matic to play, I think Matic is finished. So United desperately need a CDM. And you look at that whole Manchester United squad, and you look at that whole attack, the only place where depth lacks is that CDM role. And that is because Manchester United, as we desperately know, need a CDM. Guys, please, could you smash a like on the video if you have not already? Let's go for 250 likes. So anyone that's not hit that like button, please do go ahead and smash that like button. And of course, if you're not subscribed to Alice Talks Football, please do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football. If you want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news and updates, please do subscribe to the channel. It'll be very much appreciated, because although there's no Manchester United for a week, 1 week to our next game, guys, 1 week. So smash a like. Only 1 week to go, because it's felt so long. Oh my God, I want to watch football. Only 1 week to our next game. But in the next week, I'm going to be discussing all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. So despite no matches for a week and no previews and no watch-alongs, there's so much to talk about, because as I said, United look to have a really, really busy January transfer window. We look to have a really, really busy January transfer window. So there's so much to talk about that I haven't actually discussed at all in this video. So do smash a like and do subscribe. Someone said Delo. Oh yeah. Right now I played Delo over Wan-Bissaka. I just put Wan-Bissaka in there just out of habit. Someone just said play Delo over Wan-Bissaka. And as Andrew said, let's get the likes up. Andrew says to me, Pogba to me just doesn't press or work hard enough for Rangnick or Ten Hag if he came in. For France and Juventus, he excelled in a freer role without much discipline. And I think this is a really good comment here from Andrew, because I think, you know, if we played a 4-3-3 and we had maybe a player like Tchouaméni or Declan Rice next to Paul Pogba, and Paul Pogba was threed as a box-to-box player, I think we see a really, really good Paul Pogba. You know, I think if Paul Pogba was at Liverpool, he'd be a really, really good player. You know, we know Paul Pogba's a really, really good player, but we just don't see it a lot. And I think if Paul Pogba was at Liverpool and he was playing a Liverpool system with Fabinho holding and him being in that free role, we'd see a good Paul Pogba. And I think the thing is with Manchester United is, you know, Paul Pogba doesn't suit the pressing style of play. He's not an attacking player, but he can play that attacking role. But I think what, you know, Paul Pogba's sort of lacked for Manchester United is that sort of discipline, and he does play better in a free role. So I do think that's a good comment from Andrew. Andrew also says if we don't start scoring well, we might make sense to go to a 4-3-3 and get Bruno as a 3-8, Donny in the pivot, and play 2 wingers exactly as well, actually. Look, I'm not the biggest fan of Rangnick's 4-2-2. I'm going to give Rangnick a chance to play his 4-2-2, see if it works out. I've never been the biggest fan of a 4-2-2. It's not my ideal formation. However, I trust Ralf Rangnick. I trust he has a plan, and I think the 4-2-2 could work under Ralf Rangnick. However, personally, myself, if I was United manager, I'd like to see a 4-3-3. Let's say we get Haidara. Let's say we can get that deal done. 30 million Haidara, bish, bash, bosh, done. Let's say we get him in. Okay, brilliant. We get Haidara in. I want to see Haidara. I want to see Donny. I want to see Bruno in the midfield. I want to see Sancho on the right. I want to see Ronaldo up top. I want to see Rashford on the left. If not, Martial on the left if Rashford's in poor form. That's what I want to see at Manchester United, a 4-3-3. Rangnick doesn't really play a 4-3-3. He did play a 4-3-3 at Hoffenheim, and Rangnick might go back to the 4-3-3 if he thinks the 4-2-2 isn't working. I like the 4-2-2. It was very successful for Ralf Rangnick at RB Leipzig. It worked very well for Ralf Rangnick at RB Leipzig. However, as I've said before, guys, he's got no wingers, the 4-2-2. You can play Rashford, you can play Sancho there, but it doesn't utilise out-and-out wingers. And I think when Manchester United's strength is wingers, when our strength is wide players, when you've got Rashford, when you've got Greenwood, when you've got Martial, when you've got Sancho, when you've got so many wingers, Amid Diallo, Elanga, Sholatiri, Hannibal Mejbri, he's not really a winger, but all of these kind of players coming up, I would like to see us play a formation that really uses wingers, and Sancho and Rashford can play in that role, but it's a mix of a cam and a winger, so it doesn't 100% suit Bruno, and it doesn't 100% suit Sancho and Rashford. Varane and Lindelof for me. This is a question, actually. Who is your ideal Manchester United centre-back partnership? Because, Maguire ideally has been, well, I say ideally, why am I saying ideally? I don't want it to be. Maguire has been our worst centre-back this season. Lindelof, Bailly and Varane have looked better than Harry Maguire this season. I think by common knowledge, I think everyone was putting Varane in the ideal centre-back partnership. I think it's Varane and someone else. When you're choosing centre-backs to United, it's Varane and someone else. But who would you play next to Varane? Would you play Bailly? Would you play Lindelof? Would you play Maguire? Would you play Ted and bloody Mengi? Like, if you were going to pick a Manchester United partnership at the back, who would you play? Because personally, myself, I would play Bailly and Varane. I would love to see Bailly and Varane. I think on form, Maguire needs to be dropped. The problem is with Bailly is he's not consistent enough. Eric Bailly is not consistent enough at Manchester United to constantly sort of play in that CDM role. And that's probably been the biggest sort of CDM role. What is on with me? Eric Bailly isn't consistent enough to play in that centre-back role because he gets injuries. Eric Bailly is a good player, but, you can't have him playing centre-back week in, week out because of his injuries. I've absolutely effed this up. This is what I'd like to see at Manchester United, though. We'll do Rashford. There we go. I'd quite like to see something like this at Manchester United. I think this is what I'd quite like to see, and this is similar to what Ralf Rangnick did at Hoffenheim, but I don't think that we will see it. Please do smash a like on the video if you have not already. If you're watching the video and you are Glazers out, smash a like on the video. If you're fuming that Ed Woodward still hasn't been sacked, smash a like on the video. We've got nearly 200 people watching. We're going to go for 200 likes. If you want Ed Woodward gone, smash a like. If you want the Glazers gone, smash a like. Let's see how many likes we can get on today's video. And please do, I'm just going to throw this out again, please do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new to the channel. If you're new to the channel and you want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news and updates, please do go ahead and press that subscribe button down below. It absolutely means a lot to me if everyone can continue to subscribe and all of that. Daniel says, as a West Ham fan, I wouldn't want to lose Rice, but I'd still support him wherever he ends up playing. He's a baller. And look, I'd love Declan Rice at Man United. I believe he's going to go to Chelsea, and I believe he's massively overpriced. Daniel also says that Haidara is going to play in the African Cup, so no deal now. That is also a rumour coming out. I think, we can get him in January, and he'll come back once he's back from the Africa Cup. But I still think there's potential for this deal to happen, and I think he'd come straight back once he's done at the Africa Cup as well. But I've got a couple more things to talk about, guys. So, first of all, if you weren't aware, the Premier League held a meeting today. There was a meeting today with the Premier League, with Premier League officials about the future of the Premier League. That was what the meeting mostly discussed. Should we call the Premier League off? What should we do with the Premier League? And all of that. There was a meeting today on that. And it was sort of discussed today, and this has been confirmed by lots of reports, that the Premier League will go ahead. That the Boxing Day fixtures will not be cancelled. The Premier League does not want to go into a lockdown. I think the Premier League have looked at all the other leagues and they've gone Serie A, La Liga, Bundesliga, Ligue 1. None of them have gone into a lockdown. None of them are thinking about cancelling the league. So why should we cancel the league when all the other leagues are playing is fine? The Premier League have made this sort of rule, and I will read this out now. That if teams have 13 plus players plus a goalkeeper, they're expected to play. So if you've got 13 available outfield players and a goalkeeper, your match will go ahead. The only way Premier League match is going to be postponed is if they don't have certain players available. That's what's come out, about the Premier League meeting. It's also been said by The Athletic, which reported that the meeting concluded that the majority of Premier League clubs want to continue playing throughout the festive period. That's also reported by The Athletic. And Henry Winter said behind closed doors is looking increasingly likely the decision could be taken out of the club's hands by the government as well. So what we know about football and what we know about the Premier League is the league's not going to get postponed. The league's not going to get called off Boxing Day as of now. There's potential reports that the Premier League could go into a break. The Premier League could go into a lockdown in January if things get worse. But they said what's most likely is that the Premier League's not going to stop, but games could go behind closed doors. The most likely scenario right now with the Premier League, with the future of the Premier League, is the league's not stopped, the league's not cancelled, but it might go back behind closed doors again. And I said, look, if I believed what was going to happen, I said, I think we go behind closed doors before we call off the league. And going behind closed doors, unfortunately, is nothing to do with the clubs. It's to do with the government. If the government wants to put it behind closed doors, he might. And look, I always feel like, you know what Boris is like? He's going to do something after Christmas. He's not going to do anything before Christmas because he wants to have his Christmas party. But after Christmas, Boris might do something. Vic says, where do you think Manchester United will finish in the table this season? I think fourth. Will Manchester United get top four? Do I believe United are going to get top four? Yes. Because come the beginning of the season, after signing Ronaldo, signing Sancho and finishing second, if someone said to me we wouldn't get top four, I don't think I believed them. Yes, Spurs have Conte. Yes, Arsenal won't be playing European games, so they have a fitness advantage. And yes, West Ham look really, really good. But the wheels look like it's starting to catch up West Ham. Arsenal will just bottle it because they're Arsenal. Spurs will bottle it because they're Spurs. I believe Manchester United will get top four. And if we don't get top four, I'll be absolutely fuming, because if we don't get top four, that's your chance of Haaland gone, wiped out. That's your chance of keeping Paul Pogba gone, wiped out. Ronaldo potentially leaves, wiped out. And then you're back to square one. And, we had 3 years of building a good squad. Mourinho, after Solskjaer, we got Oli in, we were back in the Europa League. We had to sign players like Daniel James. And after 2.5 years, we got to a position where we had a squad that was good enough to win the Champions League. Win the Premier League. I somewhat believe the squad is good enough to win a Premier League, to win a Champions League, but we're just not at the level of Liverpool, Manchester City. But we spent 2.5 years from that to building the squad. And if we went back to the Europa League, I'd be so disappointed, because that's Ronaldo gone, that's Pogba gone, that's us not getting Haaland, that's maybe our potential list of managers much lower down. However, with Manchester United, I think anyone wants to manage Manchester United. I think we could still get Ten Hag. I think we could still get Ruben Amorim if we did finish in the top four. But I would be very, very disappointed if Manchester United did not finish in the top four. But I believe we will get fourth. I think Spurs will bottle it. I don't think Arsenal's team is good enough. I think Arsenal will get exposed. I think Arsenal, against the bigger teams, haven't played well. So, I think United will get top four. I think West Ham will fall off. And I think we should get top four, because we have the fourth, and you could arguably say third best squad in the league. And I said this a couple of weeks ago and everyone laughed at me, but maybe people have started to see it now. Man United have a better squad than Chelsea. We have a better team than Chelsea. Chelsea call Reece James walks into our squad. Right now, Mendy doesn't get in. Rudiger's better than Maguire. He gets in our squad. The midfielders call Kante, Kovac, Jorginho get in our squad to an extent, but none of their attackers do. Lukaku doesn't. Manchester United have a much better squad than Chelsea. But we don't play as well as Chelsea because we've not played like a team. I think we have the third best squad in the Premier League, so I think we should get top four as well. Someone said, I'm going to try to pronounce your name as Kajit Ali, probably pronounced your name wrong, has said, do you think we can win the Champions League or FA Cup? Yes, I do. I genuinely believe we can win a trophy this season. The FA Cup is more likely than the Champions League because of the competition. I believe we haven't won a trophy in a while. I think Ralf Rangnick would want to win a trophy. I think United can win the FA Cup. We've got born winners in there. We have a squad good enough to win the FA Cup. Why can't we win the FA Cup? Very realistic. We have got a tough first-round draw against Gerrard's Villa, but no, I believe we can win the FA Cup. And believe it or not, there's a part of me that believes we can win the Champions League. I know this sounds deluded. I know people will be like, what is this girl on? There is a small part of me that believes that Manchester United could generally win the Champions League. And why I believe that? And everyone's thinking, oh my God, how does this girl believe United are going to win the Champions League? I'm not saying we are going to win the Champions League. I look at Manchester City playing the other day, miles ahead of us. I watched Liverpool the other day, they're miles ahead of us. You know, Bayern Munich miles ahead of us. PSG a better team than us. Atletico Madrid might knock us out. But we have Champions League Varane, a top centre-back, won lots of Champions Leagues. You have Ronaldo, missed the Champions League. You know, Ronaldo is the face of the Champions League. Like, no one's won it as many times as Ronaldo. He has missed the Champions League. You've got a team that is a good team. You've got Pogba, you've got Bruno, you've got lots of good players, whether they're performing to their best or not. That's the thing. But also, you've got to remember, this time last year, if someone said Chelsea would won the Champions League, everyone would have been like, nah. No one thought Chelsea were going to win the Champions League this time last year. It was only when Chelsea beat Atletico Madrid where people thought, you know what? Chelsea might win the Champions League. And just like Chelsea, we were playing meh. We had a good transfer window. We were playing meh. We sacked a club legend. We brought in a German coach. And we've tied Atletico Madrid in the round of 16. We are following the cycle of Chelsea. Meh. No hope for the Champions League. Had a good transfer window, though. Just didn't live up to the hype. Had to sack a club legend. Brought in a German coach. Atletico Madrid in the round of 16. We are following that Chelsea cycle. And, you know, there's a Manchester City fan, Vic, who said you aren't winning the Champions League. I tell you what, Vic, either are you're the Champions League bottlers, you support Manchester City, so you can't talk about Champions Leagues. I don't think we are going to win the Champions League, but I think we've got just as much chance as Manchester City to win the Champions League. Because Man City are bottlers and we've got Champions League winners. And I'll sound absolutely deluded, and I don't believe we're going to win the Champions League. If we win the Champions League, I'd probably cry. I'd be shocked. I'd be happy. I don't actually believe we're going to win the Champions League. But I still think, you know, it's possible, and you just never know. And I think when we get knocked out of the Champions League, and if we do get knocked out of the Champions League, I'll be really, really butthurt, guys. Because it's like the Premier League's gone. Liverpool and City are so far ahead. We've got the best squad we've had since Sir Alex Ferguson. This is our chance to win a major trophy. And I mean, if we won the Champions League, it would be like a dream come true. Generally, if Man United win the Champions League, I will literally forever have a Ronaldo or Ralf Rangnick cutout in my room. And every video, if we win the Champions League, will have bloody Ronaldo cut out or Ralf Rangnick cut out or wherever our Champions League hero is in the background. Smash your like if you'd want Manchester United to win the Champions League, and smash your like if you want us to beat Atletico Madrid. I do believe we can beat Atletico Madrid, and I'm going to throw this out. I know we don't play them to end of we don't play Atletico Madrid to end of February. Manchester United have not been good lately, but we have a better squad than Atletico Madrid. The Premier League is a tougher league than the Liga. Do you know what I mean? Manchester United are going to have, 2 months to work with Ralf Rangnick before we play Atletico Madrid. In 2 months, I believe that Ralf Rangnick can make a change, make this team start playing well, and make us a good team. I believe that, we've got 12 easy winnable Premier League matches in a row. A lot of people forget this. But we've got 12 winnable matches in a row in the Premier League to build momentum. We've won our last 2 Premier League matches. We can build momentum, 12 wins in a row. We can build confidence. This long break has given Ralf Rangnick more time to train with the squad, more time to bring his coaches in and implement a change at Manchester United. By the time we get to the Atletico Madrid game, it could be same old United with crap. We get knocked out. Nothing's changed. Or by the time we get to the Atletico Madrid game, it's Manchester United look really good. Manchester United playing really, really well lately. Ralf Rangnick's making a change at Manchester United, and he's had quite a bit of time to work with the squad, and we look like a good team, and we've gone and won 10 games in a row. Because actually, what I am going to show you is if you look at Manchester United's fixture list, we could easily build confidence and momentum, and we knew this under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But what are Manchester United? Manchester United are a confidence and momentum side. Anyone that watches Manchester United knows that we are a confidence and momentum side. When we win 10 games in a row, we can win 12 games in a row. When we lose a few games, momentum rocks. We're not as good. But let me show you our next few fixtures. Let me get the banner off. As you can see on my screen, these are the next few fixtures at Manchester United, as you can see. Look, we've just beaten Norwich. We've just beaten Crystal Palace. Newcastle, winnable game. Newcastle are absolutely shocking. They're bottom of the league. We'll beat Newcastle. Burnley, easy 3 points. Wolves, we should beat. Villa in the Premier League, we should beat. I know they look good under Gerrard, but we should beat them. West Ham, they're starting to drop off. I think we'll beat them. Burnley again, we should beat them. Southampton, we should beat them. Leeds, oh my God, Leeds are awful. Smash your like if Leeds are crap. Smash your like if Leeds are absolutely crap, because they're absolutely awful. we should beat. Okay, so we come into the Atletico Madrid. We could go into that Atletico Madrid game with actually a lot of confidence because we could have beat Leeds, Southampton, Burnley, West Ham, Villa, Wolves, Newcastle and Burnley. Won about 10 games in a row. Add those two. Won about 12 Premier League games in a row. And we could go into that Atletico Madrid game with, 12 wins under us. And you look at those 12 games, and they are 12 winnable games. Ralf Rangnick's had over 2 months with the squad to get the squad playing the way he wants them to play, to get the squad used to his system, so we will be a better team. And we have a better team than Atletico Madrid. So part of me does believe we'll be at Atletico Madrid. Bart's put in the chat Newcastle will win the game. Oh my God. I tell you what, if we lose to Newcastle, oh my God, I will lose it if we lose to Newcastle. We've had over 2 weeks off. I know we've had COVID, but Manchester United had over 2 weeks off. They've had a big long break. Newcastle are rock bottom of the league. Everyone's thrashing them. Imagine if United went and bottled it to Newcastle. Actually, imagine if we went and, I'd lose. I'd absolutely lose it. But I don't think that's the case. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Guys, please do smash a like on the video if you have not already. And of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new to the channel and you want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news as well. Daniel says Bailly or Mengi. Eric Bailly, but he is very injury prone. I think Mengi could be an absolute baller. Varane or Wan-Bissaka. Well, Varane is a centre-back. Wan-Bissaka is a right-back and all of that. PS says that Declan Rice will go to Chelsea. That is very, very likely as well. And Bleach Guy says Van der Sar as CEO. I'd absolutely love that. I think, we know that, Eric Ten Hag is favourite to get the Manchester United job in the summer. We know that. We know that Ralf Rangnick's a big admirer of Eric Ten Hag. He's the favourite to get the Manchester United job in the summer. I'd like us to get Edwin van der Sar as well as Ralf Rangnick. But, United are not run that well. And this comment here says that Richard Arnold is Ed Woodward in disguise. And guys, if you just weren't joining the live stream and you weren't aware of what the news was and what the news was saying and all of that, basically, Ed Woodward's set to stay at Manchester United and Richard Arnold will be the new CEO. So Richard Arnold will essentially do Ralf Rangnick's role. Richard Arnold will be the CEO at Manchester United. But what I'm saying is Ed Woodward will stay. Unfortunately, Ed Woodward is set to stay at Manchester United. And he's going to move into a consultancy role. So Man United, what I believe Man United have done, and look, they might change it. You don't know what United are going to do. We're such an predictable team. It's weird, like we're really unpredictable. But when you look back at that, you go, that's so predictable at Man United. That's so predictable at the Glazers. There was the Super League happened. The Super League happened at Manchester United. And when the Super League happened, everyone was angry at the Glazers and they sacked Ed Woodward. And the only reason the Glazers announced that Ed Woodward resigned was because the Glazers wanted to throw Ed Woodward under the bus and act like it was Ed Woodward's fault and not their own. So the Super League happened, Ed Woodward resigned, that meant the fans got a bit happier. The fans were fuming at Manchester United the fans were fuming at the Glazers after the Super League. They were fuming at Woodward. The Glazers thought, what can we do? We'll get Woodward to resign. We'll say this story that Woodward resigned to get the fans to blame Woodward, to get the fans off our back. So we all celebrated. Ed Woodward's resigned. Ed Woodward's finally gone. Bish, bash, bosh. Finally, this prick's out of this club. Yeah? You know what? They lied to us. Ed Woodward is not gone. Ed Woodward might not be going. Like, they've lied to us. It's not surprising, but it is surprising. It's like, you know what? Actually, we'll give Richard Arnold Ed Woodward's job, and Richard Arnold is another Ed Woodward, but hopefully Richard Arnold has the common sense, and it's believed that Richard Arnold has the common sense to give over the footballing side of this job to someone else and do the business side. They're just giving Ed Woodward a consultancy role, but we're giving Ralf Rangnick a consultancy role. So why are you giving Ed Woodward one? Maybe, and I'll let Man United off if this is the case. If this is the case, I'll let Man United off. We give Richard Arnold his CEO role, whatever Woodward was doing. Ed Woodward has the consultancy role, but when Ralf Rangnick takes the consultancy role, Ed Woodward goes. If Woodward goes in the summer and he's just doing the consultancy role until we give it to Rangnick in the summer, I will let United off with that. But I still think it's a disgrace that right now Ed Woodward is at Manchester United and doesn't look like he's leaving Manchester United when the club had said he'd resigned, because it makes me feel like the club had done that on purpose and lied to distract us from the fact and try and win the fans back. That's what it made me feel like, if you want my honest opinion. And yeah, smash your like if you want the Glazers out of this club. Smash your like if you want Ed Woodward out of this club, because I cannot stand them. I cannot stand them. They're just a poison in this club as well. Did Ronnie come here to win the FA Cup? No, he wants the Champions League. He wants the Premier League. But I think, look, an FA Cup or no trophy, you're taking an FA Cup. I'll be honest with you guys. I couldn't give a crap about the Carabao Cup, and I'm not interested in the FA Cup. I'd rather win the FA Cup than the Carabao Cup, because the FA Cup's quite like a unique trophy. Like Carabao Cup, I wasn't bothered when we got knocked out. Like, it's just a useless trophy. FA Cup, look, I'm not that interested in it, but it's been so long since we won a trophy that I'd really like Manchester United to win the FA Cup. I think it would do a lot. I think for these players' confidence, I think we need to win a trophy. I'd be happy if Manchester United won the FA Cup. I will throw it out. As well, please smash a like on the video. But as I said earlier, please do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new to the channel. If you want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news, go and click that subscribe button down below to Alice Talks Football. I will be updating you on all the latest Manchester United news and updates. 7 days to our next match against Newcastle. United are going to have a very, very busy January transfer window, as it said. You know, Anthony Martial leaving, Haidara potentially joining Manchester United, with even Kamara a likely deal on the cheap as well as a CDM. It looks like there's going to be lots of ins and outs of Manchester United. So I'm just going to throw out, if you're not subscribed and you want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news, please do subscribe down below. This is a comment from Naj that says, also, what the heck is Fletcher doing? I saw him on the touchline. I thought he was a director of football. What is he doing on the pitch? And yeah, a lot of people have been saying this. I think this is a really confusing about Manchester United. Is Darren Fletcher is here to be a director of football. He's not a coach. He's not meant to be doing coaching decisions, but he looks like he's on the pitch a lot. And I don't know if that's because, you know, Rangnick's decided he doesn't want Thielen, and we've lost Michael Carrick, and we haven't got a replacement in, and maybe Darren Fletcher's only there temporary until Rangnick gets who he wants him. But I did look at that and go, you know, that's not right. And it just shows that we're not run like a proper club, doesn't it? It just shows that we're not run like a proper club as well. There are no easy games in the Premier League, says Martin, which is a good comment. Look, you see, these are our next few games in the Premier League, and I think they're all winnable games. But it is the Premier League, and, you know, I don't believe we're going to win all these games. I think you will drop points somewhere, but, you know, Manchester City and Liverpool would win all these games. And if we want to be where Manchester City and Liverpool are, we've got to win all these games. And I'm not saying we're going to be where Manchester City and Liverpool are, but these are the games you've got to win. And Newcastle, Burnley, Wolves, Villa, West Ham, Burnley again, Southampton and Leeds and Watford. That's 12 winnable Premier League games in a row. We've already won 2 of the 12 winnable ones. And that means when you go into Atletico Madrid, when you go into Manchester City, there's that confidence. And one, you know, oh, my voice is going, but we've got loads of hard games coming up after these easy games. And one thing that I'm going to throw up, well, not throw up literally, but one thing I'm going to bring up that really, really bothered me was when we went into these games against Liverpool and Manchester City. You know, Scott McTominay was being interviewed. Not just Scott McTominay, I'm not going to scapegoat him, but he's the only one I can remember. And there were certain players at Manchester United saying, you know, we're the underdogs, we're going to give it our best. You know, at the start of the season, we were saying United are going to be in a title race with City and Liverpool and Chelsea. At the start of the season, it was meant to be a 4-way title race: Manchester United, City, Liverpool, Chelsea for the title. We're like 7 games into the season and we play Liverpool or Manchester City, and you get Scott McTominay there going, we are the underdogs. It's like we shouldn't be the underdogs. At the beginning of the season, you know, we finished above Liverpool last season. I know Liverpool had injuries, but we had a good chance to window. We shouldn't be the underdogs in those games. We are, because they're much better than us, but going into the season, it was about competing with them, taking them right to the end of the season and being in a title race. That's what we wanted to do. And then we're about to play Manchester City, and Scott McTominay goes, oh, yeah, we're the underdogs. That mentality at Manchester United as well, it really frustrates me, because obviously there's no easy games in the Premier League, we know that, but that mentality from certain Manchester United players says to me that, you know, we if you want to be a team that wins the Premier League, if you want to be the team that wins the Champions League, we can't have that mentality. We can't have that we're the underdogs. And that's why, for me, I want us to go and build momentum, win our next 10 Premier League games in a row. So when we do come to Atletico, when we do come to Manchester City, we don't see ourselves as the underdogs. Because if players see themselves as the underdogs, you know, they're just less likely. It's not the right mentality for a squad and a team as big as Manchester United, if you get me. Leeds need to improve all of their key players back, and maybe they'll improve. Like, I can't wait to United Leeds, because we can stat pad against Leeds again. I want to play Leeds. They're giving everyone easy wins. I'd like United to play Leeds. And Andrew says, our success will be a matter of if and when Rangnick's system takes hold. If we can getting play to his preference, we have the potential with our quality, says Andrew. And look, I think United have the quality. You look at the squad, we have a quality. There are still fans out there that are saying, look, Rangnick's going to be shit and he's going to be no better than Ollie. And there's a few fans out there that are Ollie FC and believe that, you know, it's all the players' fault and not Ollie's fault. And maybe, you know, we'll see under Rangnick if these players are good enough. Was it Ollie's fault? Was it the players' fault? Maybe we'll see that under Ralf Rangnick. But I think you know, these players are all good players. I believe in all these players. I think they're all good players, and I think, You know, Ralf Rangnick is a top manager, and I think he will be getting those players to play well. And I believe once Ralf Rangnick's system takes hold, I think these players are good enough to play in Ralf Rangnick's system, and I think it will work. I think it will be successful. So yes, I agree with thing. Nick Cox says United are an unbalanced team. Alice, we could lose from Steinhumer, let alone Newcastle. The thing about Manchester United is we're a team where we could go and beat Atletico Madrid in the Champions League, and then we can play Watford the next day and lose. You know, we last season, you know, we lost 2-1 to Sheffield United, who were absolutely atrocious last season. I think they didn't have any wins before they played us. I think we gave them their first win of the season. And then 1 week later, we beat a Manchester City side that have won 22 games in a row, 2-0. And we could have beaten 3-4-0. It's like you lose to Sheffield United, bottom of the league, and then a week later, you end Manchester City's 22-game winning streak. That's absolutely mad. You know, United is such an inconsistent team. And sometimes with Manchester United, it's like, it depends what United show up. And it's like sometimes with Man United games, it's like, is the good United going to show up? Is the bad United going to show up? And on our day, we can beat anyone. When the good United shows up, on our day, we can beat anyone. But when the bad United shows up, we can lose to anyone, you know. And I said when I did my Champions League draw reaction, because obviously you guys watched the Champions League draw, what a load of, you know, ugh. But when I did my UCL Champions League draw reaction, one thing I said about United is I actually said, you know what, like I'd like to get someone like Sporting Lisbon, I'd like to get RB Salzburg, but actually I don't care who Manchester United draw in the Champions League, because it doesn't matter who we play in the knockout stages of the Champions League. It matters about what Man United side turns up. If the good Man United side turns up, I believe we can beat anyone in any game in the Champions League. But if the bad United side turns up, I believe we could get knocked out by RB Salzburg. So for me, I actually do not care who we draw in the Champions League. I care what United side's going to turn up, because we are an absolutely inconsistent squad. It's absolutely mad how inconsistent we are as a team, isn't it? As well. Predictable: Arnold, Murta, Dofensier, Ed Woodward and Ralf as consultant. Look, no one's surprised Ed Woodward's still at Manchester United, but it just feels like we celebrated Ed Woodward's sacking for nothing, because it just doesn't look like he's not going. And as Daniel said, very, very good comment here from Daniel, Ed Woodward is a bad smell that won't go away. And I think Daniel's right. He is a bad smell that won't go away. Like, piss off, please. Do you know what I mean? It's just not gone. It's like, you know, we need to move on as a club. We have a good squad, but we're so far behind City and Liverpool. Maybe it's something to do with the way we run. Glazers, if you are serious about making us a good squad, you know, good you've brought in Rangnick, good you're giving Rangnick a consultancy role. Yes, you've got a sport director in and John Murta now. You know, we're trying to say that we're more serious. We're trying to be a better run club. Well, Glazers, if you are trying to be a better run club, you've got your director and you've got Rangnick and all of that. Well, then just let Ed Woodward go. Stop holding on to this Ed Woodward obsession, because what has Ed Woodward done to keep his job? You know, it's not good. He's not good at his job. It's facts. It's not me having an Ed Woodward agenda. It's facts. He spent 150 million on Daniel James, Harry Maguire and Wan-Bissaka. 150 million on Daniel James, Harry Maguire and Wan-Bissaka. Murta has one transfer window and spends less money getting in Sancho, Ronaldo and Varane. Murta gets Sancho, Ronaldo and Varane for less money than Ed Woodward gets Wan-Bissaka, Maguire and Daniel James. And we had that British Obsession FC. And British Obsession FC, a lot of them overpriced and not good enough. United are changing their sort of transfer route, and with the links to Haidara coming out today, with Samuel Lutka saying United want a CDM, we've got eye on Haidara. I believe that United, instead of going and spending 100 million on Declan Rice, will go and spend 30 million on Haidara, and are looking at the cheaper options abroad of young up-and-coming players. And I believe we are changing our transfer route. I think there's progress there. I think our last transfer window has been our most successful one in years. I think bringing in Ralf Rangnick, letting him have a consultancy role, suggests that we could be going in the right direction. Bringing the sporting director is a positive change for Manchester United. But you know, you know, it's like with Manchester United. It's like, all right, we've given you two things you want, so we can do something we want. And it's like we've brought a sporting director and we've had a good transfer window. We'll give Rangnick a consultancy role, so then we can keep Woodward. I feel like United are only moving in the right direction to almost justify keeping Ed Woodward. I feel like, if that makes sense, I feel like with Manchester United, it's like, you know what, we'll keep Ed Woodward, but just to not piss anyone off, we'll give Rangnick a consultancy role just to justify us keeping Ed Woodward. It's like United want to do something right, but they also want to do something wrong as well. But they'll do something right to justify doing something wrong. Whereas United should just start focusing on doing things right and getting people like Ed Woodward that don't have football knowledge out of the club, and looking to bring in someone like Van der Sar. You know, Ten Hag strongly linked to Manchester United. Rangnick likes Ten Hag. You know, we've sort of changed from spending loads of money on British players and spending 100 million on players to, you know, looking at cheaper alternatives abroad. That's a good change. That's what Manchester City have done. That's what Liverpool have done. They're so far ahead of us. Now let's think about the change of actually how this club's run. And, Bleach Guy says 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And that is Manchester United. And since Sir Alex Ferguson has left Manchester United, I think you can all agree on me with this. We have been 1 step forward, 2 steps back almost every year since Sir Alex Ferguson's left Manchester United. Because it's been Sir Alex leaves, okay, so we get Moyes in, okay? You sack Moyes, you take a step forward. You have a very good transfer window under Van Gaal. Bring in a lot of players, you get top 4. Step forward. The next year, we don't get top 4. Step back, you sack Van Gaal. Okay, good transfer window. Bring in Mourinho. Step forward. You take another step forward. Mourinho finishes second, got a good team. And then all of a sudden, we have one of our worst transfer winners in years. 50 million on Fred, Lee Grant, and Delo. When Jose wanted a centre back, and you take a step back, and then Ollie comes in. And, we take a step back again. So with the 2 steps forward, then we're taking 2 steps back. We don't finish in the top 4. We then have this dreadful transfer window under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer that I think, we did need. It did improve us with Maguire, Wan-Bissaka and Daniel James, 150 million. It was just showing how bad of a club that we were run. We didn't get our first choice target, Bruno. So we took 3 steps back after taking 2 steps forward. And all of that. We signed Bruno Fernandes, big step forward. We get top 4, another step forward. And we're looking at a good side. And we have another good transfer window, good step forward. And, and then we start playing bad. And we start playing bad. And we get beaten 5-0 by our arch rivals Liverpool at home. Absolutely embarrassed by Manchester City as well. And they don't sack him. And they have a 2-week international wait to sack him. They have Conte available. They don't sack him. And then we get embarrassed by Watford. And they sack him. And it's like, we took so many steps forward after taking so many steps back. But then they waited for us to take a few more steps back before they sacked the manager. If you'd have sacked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer after Liverpool, you never know. We could have beaten Watford and we could have beaten Manchester City and we could be on 6 more points. Meaning if we win our games in hand, we'd go above Chelsea right now. If we were run like a proper club and you sacked Ole after the Leicester game, you sacked him off Liverpool like you should have been. But United didn't want to do that because they didn't want to admit that they were wrong. They didn't want to spend that money. So for the last few years, we've been a club about taking the step forwards, but then taking the steps back. And it's really frustrated me. Ralf, future CEO, says, but each guy, I'd like Ralf Rangnick as CEO. And Bart says, Ed has been there longer than Ollie did as a player. How can one have Man United DNA while the other doesn't? Honestly, I mean, that's quite a funny comment. I get what you're saying. And the thing about it is Manchester United, since David Gill left, since Sir Alex Ferguson left, has been shambles. We've been one of the biggest downfalls. We're the English version. We're like the English version of Barcelona right now. But we're just not mudded financially. Well, we kind of are because we are in debt, but you know what I mean? We've absolutely just been this downfall. And, Moyes, Van Gaal, Mourinho, Wally, hundreds of millions spent. The fact that we spent more than Liverpool and only a little bit less than Manchester City since Sir Alex Ferguson's left, yet we're so far behind them, basically is proof that those people making decisions in our club are not good enough. Look how far behind we are. Why are we so far behind Liverpool and Manchester City when we've actually spent more money and the same amount of money as Manchester City? Because of Ed Woodward. And he's still here. And any club with a brain, any club with some common knowledge, any club with some decency would have sacked Ed Woodward. And I just think it's so bizarre that we haven't sacked Ed Woodward because he's just done so many sackable things. I think it's weird. But these guys says first the Ollie obsession, now the Ed obsession. Well, I generally believe that Glazers have an Ed Woodward obsession. It's like I almost feel like the Glazers have done something bad, and Ed Woodward has something on the Glazers that they won't sack him. When almost someone uses blackmail to stay in a job or stuff. I doubt this is the case. I doubt this is the case. But if it was the case, I wouldn't be shocked. It's like, how can you not sack Ed Woodward? Is Ed Woodward got something to send you to prison? Do you know what I mean? Like, he's done such a bad job, and anyone with a brain would have sacked Ed Woodward. But you know what? The Glazers are in debt. They don't have a business brain. If Ed Woodward ends up at West Ham, somehow I'll just cry softly for at least 23 minutes. I mean, West Ham wouldn't even employ Ed Woodward. No, they're not that stupid. Let's go back into the transfer news because I've got a couple of things to talk about before I round up the show. But Bart said Haidara or Kamara. But do they know English? Do they know the club, the league? Rice is British, English. He knows the club. He is from a massive club. I'm going to assume this is a sarcasm comment. And you're pretending to be like a British media journalist. I don't know if this is a serious comment. I don't know if this is a sarcastic comment. But, the British obsession at Manchester United, it needs to end. It doesn't matter if they're British or not. If they're good value for money and they play abroad and they're a good player, they're going to be good at Manchester United. Liverpool and City, are miles ahead of us. They've not gone through this British recession, spending 100 million on Declan Rice. They've gone, you know what, we'll go for Rodri. You know what, we'll go for Fabinho. It's worked out well for them. Rodri and Fabinho, 2 best CDMs in the league. We go for Haidara over Declan Rice. It could be a really sensible decision, believe it or not. Ed has failed or has had years of failed managers, and the worst spending and is still here. I mean, yeah, that's you just said what I was saying. Absolutely, it's mad. Smash a like, guys. If Ed Woodward needs to go, smash a like. If Ed Woodward is a silly bloody idiot and he needs to leave Manchester United, and you agree with me, smash a like on the video if you agree with me. Because how has he not gone? Like, generally, how has he not gone? How many likes are we on, by the way, guys? The goal was 250 likes. How many likes are we on? I'm just going to check how many likes the video's on. Bish, bash, bosh. We're on 151 likes. Disappointing. Everybody, it costs absolutely nothing to smash that like button. So if you've not hit that like button, please do hit that like button. We're going for 250 likes. We've got over 100 people watching. If you've not hit that like button, just click it for this to stick your fingers on it, but just click it as well. And of course, subscribe to the channel. If you are new, Tchouaméni won't come overly cheap, but each time I see him play, I'm more impressed with him. He seems like the ideal DM signing. Yeah. Tchouaméni is my ideal DM signing at Manchester United. If you could bring any CDM to Manchester United, who would you bring? I think Tchouaméni could be £50 million, which isn't ridiculously expensive, but it's not cheap. But I think he is just as good as Declan Rice, and I think he, if I have a choice of Tchouaméni and Erling Haaland or just Declan Rice, you choose Tchouaméni and Erling Haaland. It's common sense. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I'd 100% love Tchouaméni at Manchester United as well. Please smash a like, by the way. And also, if you're watching right now and you're not subscribed to Alice Talks Football, what are you doing? Please do subscribe to Alice Talks Football, because I do daily Manchester United content on the channel, from watch-alongs, match reactions, match previews, and transfer news update. Every evening in January, I'll be live giving you all the latest January transfer news as the January transfer windows open. But I'll also be keeping you regularly updated with watch-alongs when football's back, match previews and match reactions. So I do a watch-along to every Manchester United match. I do match reactions to every Manchester United match, match previews to every Manchester United match, and I do live streams to keep you up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, rumours, stuff going around, and transfer news. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to Alice Talks Football for daily Manchester United content. By the way, guys, would be very much appreciated as well. But let me get into my last couple of stories before I end the live stream. Let me read out my list of stories. So, coming out, as you know, if you're aware, if you've been watching the live stream, is Manchester United look very, very likely to sign a CDM. Samuel Larker said that Manchester United want a CDM. They're looking at the idea of signing a CDM. Haidara from RB Leipzig is a possibility. We want to back Ralf Rangnick. We know he's a player that Ralf Rangnick rates. Haidara to Manchester United. Samuel Larker has reported this. There's a chance of it happening. Reliable journalists reporting something that we've heard a lot. Definitely something happening with Haidara to Manchester United. We know from Fabrizio Romano that if Manchester United sell players, they will buy players. Fabrizio Romano kind of said United want a CDM, but we can't get a CDM unless we sell someone. Now, we know Jesse Lingard could leave. We know Anthony Martial could leave. We know there's lots of players that could be leaving in January. It looks like we're probably going to lose players in January and potentially bring someone in. There's rumours about Jesse Lingard wanting to prove himself under Ralf Rangnick, and rumours that Manchester United will not sell Lingard to West Ham because West Ham's competition. So I think Lingard and Martial's future really depends on Newcastle. So as weird as this sounds, I feel like Manchester United signing a CDM depends on if Newcastle go and buy our players. I feel like, that could potentially be something. Another thing I wanted to discuss was the Bruno haters, actually. I don't know if I discussed this earlier, but I've seen on Twitter people bringing up Bruno's stats this season. Last season, if you brought up, everyone said Bruno was a stat padder. Last season, Bruno's stats didn't matter. He's a stat padder. Okay, everyone was going off about, oh, Bruno's such a stat padder. Stats don't mean everything, blah, 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 when it came to Bruno Fernandes last season. This season, everyone's bringing up Bruno's bloody stats, going, oh my God, he's only got 4 goals in the Premier League. Neil Smith-Rowe's got more goals. It's absolute load of crap. Bruno's created the most chances in the Premier League. Bruno's had the most key passes in the Premier League. Bruno's got the most assists in the Champions League. Now Ronaldo's here. Bruno's focus isn't to be the main goal scorer. It's to be a creator. We've seen him have some awful games for Manchester United. He's not been at his best this season, but what is it with people when this Bruno Fernandes agenda? When his stats are brilliant, no one wants to know about his stats. Everyone's saying he's awful, he's a stat padder. When his stats are bad, everyone wants to bring up his stats. I've never met a player that's more disliked than Bruno Fernandes, and I don't get why. And I think for a player to be that disliked, it's just because he's a good player. And a lot of it is football banter, as Vic said, but I'm talking the Man United fans that do it. Like, there's generally Man United fans that hate Bruno. Pogba FC, Martial FC, they're generally Man United fans that have like a Bruno agenda, and I don't get it. I love Paul Pogba, I love Anthony Martial, but I'd never be Paul Pogba FC, I'd never be Anthony Martial FC. I don't compare Martial and Rashford, and I don't compare Bruno and Pogba. I think Martial's a better player than Rashford, but I think Rashford's been better as of late, and I think Bruno Fernandes has been better for Manchester United in the 2 years he's been here than in the 5 years Paul Pogba's been here, and that will cause a lot of stir. But he has. Bruno's transformed us. If we lost Bruno, it's a bigger loss than Paul Pogba. But I think Paul Pogba's a very good player. I wouldn't dare compare Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes. I don't want Pogba to be crap, so I can say Bruno's better. They're United players. We shouldn't be comparing them. And there's Man United fans that care about Paul Pogba and Anthony Martial more than the club. I love Paul Pogba, I love Martial. I think they're good players. I don't want to lose them. I think we'll miss them. But I just think silly. Andrew says, I feel like we need to get Bruno more central again. He's dangerous in the middle of the pitch. Yeah. And look, Bruno hasn't been brilliant under Ralf Rangnick. Maybe it's Ralf Rangnick's system. Maybe he needs to get used to the system. Maybe he doesn't know the system. But as Andrew said again, Bruno's playing a different role under Ralf Rangnick. It might just take Bruno time to get used to Ralf Rangnick's way and Ralf Rangnick's system as well. It might just take Bruno a little bit of time to get used to it as well. I know Bruno came in and had an instant impact, but he's playing like almost as a winger / cam, and it's a very different role as well. So, yeah, most definitely. As well, and Brew Poo says he disappears in big games and relies on penalties. Yeah, that's bullshit. He got an assist versus Spurs. He was one of the best players on the pitch versus Spurs. He got a goal versus who did he get a goal versus the other day? Goal versus Arsenal. Bruno's got goals and assists against top 6 sides this year. It's all a load of BS that he doesn't perform in big games. He had a few poor big games because he had Fred behind and given him nothing. But yeah. Comrade says that the Red Devils, the team that every player wants to play for, the club of clubs, the home of football, the city of beauty, the people of knowledge, and the entire population of Manchester United. And just to add to that comment, Manchester United are one of the biggest teams in the world. We've got Ronaldo. We're a massive club. If any of the Manchester United players do not want to play for Manchester United and feel they're better than Manchester United, then tell them. And what I liked about Ralf Rangnick, because he said he doesn't understand why Paul Pogba wouldn't want to stay at Man United. And if Paul Pogba's not going to want to play for Man United, sell him. And I like Paul Pogba. I think he's a good player. I want him to stay at Man United. I want to play him. I want to see him play under Ralf Rangnick. But he's a player where sometimes I feel like he thinks he's better than United. And I don't think any player is better than Man United. We've got Cristiano Ronaldo, the best player of all time, you could say. Questionable debate. But the greatest striker of all time, you could definitely say. Do you think Cristiano Ronaldo feels he's better than Man United? No. I don't think he does. He doesn't. There's no reports of Ronaldo wanting to leave. It's if we don't get top 4, Ronaldo would like to leave. But Ronaldo came back to Manchester United. He talks about Manchester United's home. I don't think Cristiano Ronaldo thinks he's better than Manchester United. Do you know what I mean? As well. Due to how poor we played under Ole and so few chances created, I think Bruno developed a habit of forcing difficult passes. Yeah, I think that's a good comment from Andrew. I think because nothing was happening under Ole, Bruno sort of developed this habit of let me do the risky passes. I've got to make something happen. But hopefully under Ralf Rangnick, he will get Bruno Fernandes out of that habit. I think hopefully that will be the case under Ralf Rangnick. Hopefully he'll change habits and all of that. But guys, I am going to end the live stream here, by the way. Thank you to everybody for tuning into today's live stream. If you haven't already, please do smash a like on the video. It'd be very much appreciated. And of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. If you want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news and updates, please do subscribe to the channel. It'll be very much appreciated. I will be live Wednesday night, I will be live Friday night, and I will be live Sunday night, and I will be live Monday for Manchester United versus Newcastle. There will be some short videos coming in the week as well. So please do subscribe to Alice Talks Football if you're not subscribed to the channel. Smash a like, smash a subscribe, smash a share. Thank you everyone for tuning in. See you next time. Bye.